Okay, so we are now well into the Worldwide Celebration campaign, and Dokkan is putting it upon themselves to go ahead and prepare us for part 2 of the celebration, which is going to be happening very soon. Now, when it comes to part 1 of the celebration, part 1 has been out for about a week to 2 weeks now, and obviously part 1 has been focused on the first Broly movie, giving us a new Carnival LR Broly right here, along with another Dokkan Fest LR with Goku, Gohan, and Trunks. But aside from part 1 of the celebration being focused on the first Broly movie, Dokkan also informed us very early on that the whole kind of theme of the celebration as an entirety was going to be focused on Broly himself. So based on that reasoning, a lot of us were kind of already assuming that part 2 of the celebration was going to lean into Broly's second coming, but we really didn't have any sort of official confirmation of that assumption until yesterday evening when Dokkan gave us the official EZA details for LR Tech Broly. Now, a lot of people, myself included, have been hoping that LR Tech Broly would get his EZA sometime in the recent history of past, or whatever you want to call that. We've been hoping that LR Tech Broly would get his EZA for a while now because he is one of the oldest premier summonable LRs in the game right now to not have an EZA. So it's been a long time coming, but we all kind of expected that this would finally happen during the celebration since it was Broly themed. We just didn't know 100%, and obviously seeing Dokkan put official kind of details out, it just feels so good to see it in official kind of detail. I just love it. So obviously we are going to have to go ahead and look at LR Tech Broly's EZA, break it down, talk about how good or how bad he is, just kind of figuring out what he can do and all the stuff he's capable of. But also, aside from that, we also have some other data download information to talk about, which came out a couple hours ago. So, of course, we are heading to part 2 of the celebration, which means Dokkan is going to be giving us more data downloads as we kind of head into a celebration, so that we are prepared for new stages, new challenges, and all the like that we can look forward to for part 2 of the celebration. So, what we're going to be doing in the vid today is a couple of fun things. We're obviously going to look at LR Tech Broly's EZA, break down the kit and everything. Also, though, we're going to look at the data download information that we got a couple hours ago and just kind of look through everything that has been made aware to us, so that way we have a good understanding of what to expect going into part 2, because of course Dokkan is going to make sure to kind of tease us as far as the part 2 new LRs are concerned very soon. So right now we do want to look at all the information we got going into that. But the first thing to go ahead and do is look at Tech LR Broly's EZA. So of course, real quick, shout out to Goresh, the boy. He's just one of the guys. I mean, you know what I'm saying. So shout out to him, of course, did the EZA details and translations for Broly along with a couple other sources, but he was one of the first. So again, shout out to Goresh. When we look at LR Broly's EZA details, right, we see the old and the new. With the new leader skill, right, he is leading Resurrected Warriors with Ki +4 and HP attack and defense 150%, which is kind of standard since he is a yellow coin LR. Also, he is giving Extreme Tech type Ki +4, HP attack and defense 100%. So they did not change that part from his old leader skill. They did just kind of upgrade the Resurrected Warrior part of his lead just a smidge. So it's fine. I mean, the leader skill wasn't really anything special when it came to Broly's value. But I mean, at the same time, him being a 150% lead is still better than being a 130% lead. So I'll give credit where credit is due, but obviously that's not going to be enough to impress me on its own, right? So let's go ahead and keep looking. Obviously, we can look at the super attack effects right now, 12 keys. So the EZA now, Broly can raise his attack for 1 turn and cause colossal damage to the enemy and greatly lower enemies' defense. Before, it was just causing colossal damage and lowering enemies' defense in general. So being able to debuff a lot greater in terms of his own 12 key plus boosting his own attack, that is something we do like to see. Of course, no ability to raise his defense with his 12 key. So that can be kind of annoying, I mean, in the wrong situations. We'll have to see what the passive looks like, but I mean, usually if they don't give defense on the 12 key, that means the unit should be able to be fine, I would like to think, but we never know. We have to see what they're going to do, because Int Broly was the part 1 EZA, and he was not exactly treated with the best of love, so hopefully they do better with Tech Broly right here. 18 key, right, so Eraser Cannon greatly raises attack and greatly raises defense for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage and massively lowers enemy defense. Now, I believe actually is that a stacking effect? Because if that's greatly raising attack with the 18 key, that's kind of nasty. I mean, because obviously the Int Broly, even though his EZA is kind of like meh, Int Broly's EZA does allow him to greatly raise his attack, which is one of the nice things about him. And when we think about the Tech Carnival LR Broly, right, he is able to raise his attack with his 18 key as well when he's transformed into Legendary Super Saiyan. So if this LR Tech Broly EZA allows him to do greatly raising stackings with his attack for like the 18 key, I like that. I really do like that, because that means it's going to be a lot of fun seeing the damage he could put out. Also, you know, greatly raising defense. I mean, we talked about defense not being there for the 12 key. Seeing it here on the 18 key, I'm fine with that. I really do like that. Greatly raising, of course, that's really nice and appreciated. massively lowering an enemy's defense, that can be really impactful as well. Obviously, compared to the old kind of 18 key, a lot of things have changed. Obviously, the raising attack, the raising defense, and also increasing the debuff abilities right there. So all in all, I mean, just nice, solid upgrades. We'll have to see how Broly performs with those upgrades, but yeah, I think the main thing to look at is, of course, the passive. So we see the old passive. Let's just go ahead and look at this real quick. Attack and defense 90% when performing a super attack, plus an additional attack plus 50% if it is an 18 key super attack, which is an ultra super attack. Also launches an additional guaranteed super attack when facing 2 or more enemies, and he will transform when conditions are met. So, I mean, when it came to the old passive was just so bad. I mean, it's an old unit, so the passive is understandably not up to date, but yeah, he definitely needed an EZA just for the passive alone. So let's see, the passive now with the EZA, key plus 3 and attack and defense plus 200%. I like what we're doing so far. Maybe could be a lot higher in terms of the stat boost for flat out, but so far so good. I mean, I'll give credit where it's due. Gain an additional attack and defense plus 120% when performing a super attack. So doesn't matter if it's the 18 key or the 12 key, another 120% to stats there. I really do like that. Plus an additional attack and defense 120% if it is an ultra super attack. So there we go. So obviously, it doesn't matter for this first kind of 120% what type of super you do, but here you do want to get the 18 key or 24 key, like anything from 18 key or higher, that's what you want to strive for, because then Broly will get the ultra super, and that means he will get not only this 120% attack and defense right here, but also this 120% right here to tack on to his 200% stat boost in general. So, I mean, what is that, like 440% to his stats, which is, I mean, that's crazy, because this is just the Super Saiyan form. This is like the base form Broly, so that is really crazy. I mean, I'm curious to see what he can do in terms of damage and stat outputs, but yeah, that's fire. Also, gain an additional attack plus 50% when attacking an enemy who is in the attack down or defensive down status. So this is kind of similar to LR Tech Jiren, where he does get a bit stronger if you take on opponents who are debuffed. I don't think this is necessarily the biggest deal because this is only 50% attack, so there could have been a lot more they restricted behind this. I'm really happy, actually, that all they limited was 50% to the attack. They could have completely taken one of these 120% and locked it here if they wanted to hate on Broly, but thankfully they didn't. So all in all, I really do like this so far. Gain key plus 3 and launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super when facing one enemy. So obviously, when we do a super attack, the additional super will be able to raise attack for 1 turn and also debuff the opponent when it's applicable, so that's something we can love to see right there. Gain key plus 5 and launches a guaranteed additional super when facing 2 or more enemies, kind of feeding back into that older kind of passive design where Broly was happy to face 2 or more enemies. So in that sort of sense, yeah, I really do kind of like what they've done so far. Obviously, he will transform into the legendary Super Saiyan afterwards. But yeah, when it comes to like the base form Broly in terms of the EZA, I think it's really good. The stats are actually kind of crazy. I'm not seeing too much in terms of damage reduction, guard, or dodge. Now, I didn't expect Broly to be a dodging type of unit. I mean, when we think about Broly is not really the kind of guy you look at and say, oh, he's going to weave everything. No, he's going to just tank it because he just built like the fattest gym bro you've ever met in your life. But like Broly is built different. So I mean, I figured Broly would have some guard or some sort of damage reduction. He does not seem to have that. He just has flat out stats. And we'll have to see how the legendary Super Saiyan kind of passive looks down here. But just in terms of the base form, I do kind of worry in terms of how good he will be in the base form, because not having guard, not having damage reduction, those are 2 very important mechanics in the current meta, because especially like damage reduction, you need that for a lot of fights in order to survive. I mean, think about some of the best units in the game right now. A lot of them have some really good amount of damage reduction in their passive. So, or if they don't even have damage reduction, they have dodge or, you know, some other sort of thing to really help them out. So I'm not seeing that with the base form. Hopefully we'll see that change with the legendary Super Saiyan. So anyways, talking about that, let's go ahead now look at the legendary Super Saiyan Broly's kind of mode, right? So the 12 key right here, Omega Blaster, raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Obviously, that was not the case with his pre-EZA kind of super effect. Also causes colossal damage and greatly lowers the enemy defense. So kind of the same as the older kind of super attack design. Only thing is obviously raising attack and defense for 1 turn, but we're not going to complain about that because that, of course, helps out Broly, so we do like that. Also with the 18 key, right, Gigantic Meteor greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes mega colossal damage, and massively lowers the enemy defense. So again, kind of same thing here. The older kind of super attack effect is very similar to the EZA form, except for the difference being the now greatly raising attack and defense for 1 turn, which we love to see because that means Broly can just kind of do his thing a lot better. So, you know, typical kind of super attack effects. Obviously, he's going to be fantastic when trying to debuff an opponent, so there is that. But nothing too ballistically crazy, I guess, if that's the right way to describe it. I mean, I just really kind of like to see I just like seeing what they're doing right now. Also for the passive, right, so obviously this is the old passive, attack and defense plus 100% when performing a super, plus an additional 88% to the attack. If it's an 18 key super, launches an additional that has a medium chance to become a super when facing 1 enemy, and launches an additional super guaranteed when facing 2 or more enemies. So again, not that crazy. He is an old unit, but still, that, I mean, this passive, when I look at it now, it's like it's making my heart like break into like 5 pieces because it's just so painful to look at. But okay, let's look at the EZA, right? So the EZA passive now, key plus 4 and attack and defense plus 220%. So a bit of a slight boost compared to like the pre-transform kind of a general passive kind of boost there. Gain an additional 120% to attack and defense, and perform an additional that has a high chance to become a super attack when performing a super attack. Okay, so that's actually pretty nice right there. So basically, if you do a super attack, you already are going to be doing a guaranteed additional that has a high chance to super as well, and you're also getting that 120% boosted stats, similar to the pre-transform state right there. Also, plus an additional attack plus 166%, and guard activated against all attacks, and extreme class allies chance to perform a crit hit plus 6% for 2 turns if it is an 18 key, if it's an ultra super attack. So that's kind of crazy. So basically, within any sort of turn, if you get Broly to do his 18 key super, he is going to have guard activated within that turn, it seems like, and he is going to be boosting extreme class allies in terms of allowing them to have more crit chance. So it's obviously a small amount, only 6%, but I mean, I gotta respect the support when it's there, even though it's a very small amount. I gotta give respect to it, and more so, I gotta give respect to him finally getting guard. Obviously, that was something missing from the pre-transform kind of EZA, but now seeing the guard right here, it's very easy to access. I really do like that. I mean, especially because also, you know, Broly seems to be getting a lot of stats in general, right? So that is going to help. That is really going to help. Also, gain an additional attack plus 100% when attacking an enemy who is in the attack down or defense down status. Gain key plus 4 and launches an additional that has a great chance to become a super when facing only 1 enemy. Gain key plus 6 and launches an additional guaranteed super attack when facing 2 or more enemies. So obviously they did kind of try to retain the theme, I guess, of Broly's design, where he benefits more so from facing 2 or more enemies and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I gotta give credit where credit is due. When it came to Dokkan for this EZA, they did a fantastic job of not restricting Broly. The problem with In Broly for me is 2 things. In Broly with his EZA right now, I'll show In Broly right here. The problem with In Broly is 2 things. One is, I feel like they could have given him more, especially in terms of like the stacking, right? He's able to greatly stack his attack, but only raise his defense by 20%. So that is kind of pathetic. I feel like they could have given him more, but they just chose to leave it on the table. And then also in terms of what he does have, which is some solid stuff, they chose to give him a crap ton of restrictions to prevent him from being able to access half of his kit for a majority of fights. And I really do not appreciate that, because that means we can't enjoy Broly's greatness for a lot of the game. We have to enjoy it for only certain types of fights. When it came to LR Tech Broly right here with his EZA, they didn't really kind of stick with that direction. This time, they chose to only give him like some minor kind of tweaks in terms of restrictions for attack down, defense down status, which isn't that hard to reach. It's just determined on if the opponent can be debuffed in the first place. So that's the only case. But even still, he's not losing too much if you can't get this to happen, because right here in the pre-transformed, he's missing out on 50% attack, and down here in his legendary Super Saiyan mode, he's only missing out on 100% attack right there, which could be crazy, but it's not like the end of the world. It's not like he's missing like the most important parts of his kit in that sort of sense. Also, I mean, in general, right? I mean, he's got a lot of stats. He's able to do a lot of debuffing when it's possible. He has guard right here with the 18 key. I really like this Broly. Now, do I think he's going to be like a top 10 LR? Frankly, no. I think as I look at his kit more and more, I do think he may fall for me somewhere on the same kind of plane as LR Tech Jiren, where they're really good EZAs, really good units, really solid units, but their better value comes in being able to serve as a fantastic linking partner for the new, better LR. So obviously Tech LR Jiren, case in point, his better LR self is the AGL Carnival LR Jiren. For this Tech LR Broly, with his kind of EZA, he's going to be a fantastic linking partner probably for whoever the part 2 Broly is that we're going to be seeing. So that's kind of my thoughts on Broly, I guess. Kind of like a solid unit, not bad, not mid, but I think solid. Do I think he's great? No. We'll have to see, of course, but I think at the very minimum, he is solid to good. I think that's where I'll put him, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead now. So we talked about the Broly EZA. Again, shout out to Garesh for having the translations up and running for Broly's EZA kind of details. Now we can look at the data download stuff, and shout out to Proton, of course, one of the fantastic kind of data download specialists in terms of like breaking down and sharing all the information there, so shout out to them. But when it came to the data download, right, there's a couple things to mention. Obviously, for Global and for JP, there is some slight differences, just because Global, you guys are trying to sync up with JP still, so there are some minor differences. The main differences being the new Area 36 quest mode is coming to you guys on Global. We already had that on JP. Also, the new SBR Super Battle Road Stage 85 and Trusted Will, we already had that on JP. Now Global, you guys are getting that soon as well for Part 2. So obviously free Dragon Stones, we love to see that for Global players. And obviously that's just going to help you guys with syncing up for us. But in terms of what we're getting for Part 2 of the Celebration in its actuality, we're getting a new Int Super Saiyan Kid Trunks right here, a free-to-play unit. We're also getting a new story mode event, if you will. So Trio and Danger Adventure at, how do you say that? Natade or Nated Village? I gotta watch Broly's Second Coming again to know how to say that. But yeah, we got that story quest right there. We also have a new Extreme Z area right there. So this is going to be stage 14. This is going to be key for one of the EZAs coming into the game, which I'll talk about in a moment. But also we have some other things as well. We're getting a couple new stages for the Demonic Attack Legendary Super Saiyan Broly kind of challenge event. We're also getting stage 2 for the whole Tremble with Fear, the Devil Awakens kind of event. Obviously that's a one-stage event right now in the game, and there were some challenges they gave to us, but now we're getting stage 2 to kind of tie into part 2 of the celebration. We are, of course, getting the Extreme Z battle for Tech LR Broly, who's getting his EZA. We just talked about that just a moment ago. We are getting Battlefield 79, so that's something to take advantage of for more Dragon Stones. Also, a new burst mode and stuff like that. So, a lot of fun things to look forward to. Obviously, we see the art for Int Kid Trunks right there. Definitely a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, stage 1 for the story quest, we do see that's going to have a bonus drop category for both movie heroes and movie bosses, so that's going to be kind of fun, really nice and easy to take advantage of, because there are a lot of LR movie heroes and movie bosses that we can use and obviously use for the category bonus drop and all that sort of stuff. Also, I mean, if we go down here, we see that the free-to-play STR Videl is getting her EZA, and her EZA medals are coming from the Extreme Z area movie edition kind of fight. So this is what I was talking about. She is going to be getting her EZA. We'll look at the EZA in just a moment, but her EZA is only from this Extreme Z area kind of stage. So we're definitely going to have to go ahead and take care of that and enjoy that kind of moment. Obviously some new fights and stuff. Right here we see the EZA details. Right here we see something very fun. For Tech LR Broly with his EZA, he has a category weakness against Bond of Parent and Child. Makes sense, of course, in Part 2, or not Part 2, but in Broly's Second Coming. He did lose to the family Kamehameha, so Bond of Parent and Child being his category weakness makes perfect sense. So in that sort of focus, this is probably going to be a very, very easy to take care of, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm not even going to lie. Also, of course, the Battlefield stuff, we do see the burst mode kind of focus right there. Nothing too crazy. We do have a new trade item that's going to be related to the new kind of story events. So we are going to see this in the game. We're going to have to take advantage of that, of course. We have a new kind of title screen to look at. So really nice right here. I mean, that's just a terrible image right there. That's not even high quality. Maybe I can get a better quality. There we go. Better quality, sort of. We do see, of course, Goten, Trunks, Gohan, Goku. I'm kind of surprised he's there because technically he was only there for like the final 15 minutes of the fight. But to be fair, he played an impactful role. But also at the same time, where's Videl? Real quick, like, where's Videl? She was kind of important, right? She kind of made sure Gohan decided to like lock in and like get things done. So Videl, I wish Videl was here. It's the same thing with like Piccolo not being on the Part 1 kind of title screen. I wish they had all of the characters there who are part of the story. Of course, Broly in the background, because, I mean, Broly is Broly. The art is looking kind of fire, though, with, like, the black and white in terms of the skin, like, the design of his arms, and then going into the color right there. That's really badass. I really do like that. Of course, we see the title screen right there. some other kind of nice scripted events and all that sort of good stuff. So nothing else really to add as far as like the data download is concerned. Obviously, we don't have information on the new Part 2 LRs that are going to be coming to the game, but we will see that very soon, probably another like 2 or 3 days, because we are getting very close to Part 2 of the celebration actually taking place. But before I go ahead and just finish things off, I do just want, of course, look at some of the other units that we're getting, right? So we did talk about LR Tech Broly. We also do need to look at the EZA4, the STR free-to-play Videl, and look at the details for the new free-to-play Int Super Saiyan Kid Trunks. That was like a mouthful there. I think I may have fumbled that. But anyways, let's go ahead and start off with Videl, right? So again, free-to-play unit right here. I'm realizing that this is not translated. Let me go ahead and actually go to the global side, because they obviously have these units on their side as well. So that will make things easier. I just went back and forth there, so that was kind of a bit of a mistake there. Look, okay, so Videl with her EZA, right? So we see Movie Heroes being a 70%, Movie Heroes Key +3 HP attack and defense, 77% stat boost lead right there. Also 50% for STR type units. So, I mean, typical kind of free-to-play leader, nothing too crazy there, not that special. Super attack effect, greatly raises defense for 1 turn, also causes supreme damage and greatly lowers defense. So that's kind of nice. I actually do kind of like that on its own, being able to debuff and buff yourself. So I do like that right here with the passive as well. Key +1 up to 3, and then also attack and defense plus 50% up to a total of 150% per Movie Heroes category ally on the team. So really you only need 3 Movie Heroes category allies on the team for this kind of part of the passive to already max out, which is kind of interesting. I thought they would want maybe like a full team or something, but I mean, that's not really that difficult to reach, so I'm perfectly fine with it. I mean, it is what it is. Chance of evading an enemy's attack, including a super, plus 5% up to 15% per Movie Heroes category ally on the team as the first attacker in the turn. So obviously, if you put Videl in the first slot, she can get up to 50% dodge with this whole kind of part of her kit. So it's not that crazy of a boost, but considering she is a free-to-play unit, I'm not sure what we're expecting, because I doubt they're going to make her like as good as a side banner unit or like something like that, right? So they are going to have to nerf her in some kind of aspects as far as her kit in terms of the potential there. Also, plus an additional attack plus 120% when performing a super, so nice kind of boost right there. High chance of evading an enemy's attack. So that's about a 50% chance to dodge right there, on top of the 15% we could see right there. So 65% chance to dodge. That is actually pretty nice. I mean, that's not the best chance to dodge in the game, but it's still pretty solid, especially for a free-to-play unit with an EZA and stuff. That's pretty good. Plus an additional defense plus 120% for 5 turns after evading an attack. So just 1 attack and she's getting that stat boost right there. Obviously also able to greatly raise her own defense for 1 turn. This can be pretty good. What else we got? We also have plus an additional defense plus 50% and increasing the chance of evading an enemy's attack by 8% within the same turn with each attack evaded. This is kind of crazy, so I'll come back to this in just a second, but let's finish off the rest of the passive. So all allies key +1 and attack and defense plus 30%, so kind of like a universal support right there, which is kind of nice. I really do appreciate that. Also plus an additional attack and defense plus 20% for all allies for 2 turns, and launches an additional attack that's a high chance to become a super as the first slot unit in a turn. So this is crazy. She can actually be giving 50% stat boosts to allies as a support. For a free-to-play unit, that is fantastic. I love that. I think that may be something that's underappreciated about her, but it is something that I do recognize, and I do just love that, because it's just nice. I mean, what else is there to say? It's just nice. Obviously, they are kind of incentivizing you to put her in the first slot so that you can take advantage of this kind of 15% dodge chance right here. Also the additional support and the launching the additional attack with a high chance to become a super. So it's interesting that they want you to put her in the first slot, but they are giving you some nice things to kind of make that a good decision. Also, I mean, I said we'll come back to this, right? This is reminding me, right? It's very reminiscent to me of HGL LR MUI Goku, right? Because for MUI Goku, with his EZA, with each attack he dodges within a turn, he is increasing his dodge chance within that turn. So this is the same kind of focus, maybe to a lesser degree, but still, this is pretty insane. And I mean, if Videl starts dodging, we can see this go higher and higher. So she can become another Ultra Instinct kind of character right there. We could see Ultra Instinct Videl in the game through this kind of free-to-play STR unit right here. So that's pretty awesome. I really do like that. Obviously, when we look at the categories, nothing's changed from when she first released back in 2019. But Peppy Gals, Dragon Ball Seekers, Movie Heroes, Earthlings, Defender of Justice, Bond of Parent and Child, and Earthbred Fighters. So all of that is pretty nice. Also, I mean, we did have to talk about the other unit right here, of course, the Int Super Saiyan Kid Trunks. So Kid Trunks, he has a bit of a nice art, actually. I do kind of like that. But for Int Trunks, right, so Kid Trunks, Hybrid Saiyans lead 50% and Ki plus 3. So pretty typical, nothing too crazy right there. Maybe we'll see an EZA for him during the celebration, who knows, but I do expect he will get an EZA. We'll have to see. Super attack effect, greatly raises defense for 3 turns. Pretty good, actually. Also causes supreme damage to the enemy. Okay, nice. Also raises allies' defense by 30% for 1 turn. Oh my god, he is a support unit. He is a free-to-play Super Saiyan Kid Trunks, and he is supporting his allies. This is beautiful. This is so beautiful. Okay, let's look at the passive, because I'm seeing a lot of bullet points. Okay, so first bullet point right here, Ki plus 2 and attack and defense plus 140%. So not the craziest stat boost, but not too shabby, right? Plus an additional attack plus 140% and launches an additional attack with a high chance to become a super when there is another Hybrid Saiyan's ally attacking in the same turn. So pretty straightforward. Of course, there were a lot of Hybrid Saiyans in part 2, or not part 2, but I keep saying part 2. There were a lot of Hybrid Saiyans in the second Broly movie. Obviously, Kid Goten, Teen Gohan, right? The adolescent Gohan, if you will. So, I mean, there are a lot of Hybrid Saiyans to look forward to for part 2 of the celebration, but also in general, there are a lot of Hybrid Saiyans that we could kind of toss in with Super Saiyan Kid Trunks there for this kind of additional attack boost, which I really do appreciate. Also, Hybrid Saiyans category allies, Ki plus 1, and attack and defense plus 25%. So he is supporting Hybrid Saiyans allies. This is kind of nice. I actually may want to take him in some of the hard challenges with the Hybrid Saiyans team just to see how he can perform. Also, Ki plus 1 and attack and defense plus 25% for allies whose names include Gohan Teen or Goten Kid within the character's attacking turn for 4 turns from the character's entry turn. So obviously kind of leaning into that whole Broly Second Coming kind of relationship and theme, supporting Teen Gohans and Goten Kids and stuff like that. So pretty simple there. I wish it was going to last for like the entirety of a fight, but I guess for the sake of balance, they want to make sure not to leave that for too long, I guess, but it is what it is. Also, plus an additional defense plus 40% when receiving an attack. That's kind of interesting there. High chance of evading an enemy's attack, so also a 50% chance to dodge right there, plus an additional chance of evading an enemy's attack, including supers, as plus 20% as the first slot unit in a turn. That's actually really nice, really nasty. Plus an additional attack plus 140% temporarily, and a temporary high chance of performing a critical hit upon the character's next attack after evading an attack himself. So what it's basically saying is that, you know, when he evades an attack, the next attack that he's doing, he's going to be boosting his attack even more so, and then he has a high chance to perform a crit with that attack as well, which I think both of these parts, right, the 140% right here, plus the high chance to perform a crit, that will be gone on the second attack if Trunks were to do an additional, but, you know, still, that's pretty nice. I actually really do like that. Also right here, plus an additional chance of evading an enemy's attack, plus 20%, up to 20% within a turn, within the next attacking turn every time the character evades 5 or more attacks, including a super attack in battle. Wowza. Just wowza. This is a crazy kit. For a free-to-play Kid Trunks, this is crazy. I mean, let's just talk about the dodging, right? So he has, where is it? I already lost it. 50% chance to dodge right here with a high chance right here. So 50% right there, right? Plus another 20% in the first slot. Plus, if you get this kind of condition met where it's like 5 evades and stuff like that, the next time you see him, he gets another 20%. That is a 90% chance to dodge, just in general. That is insane. Like, I mean, it's only for the turn, but like, still, that is crazy that he's basically has like around 50% to 90% dodge chance, and more likely it's going to be 70% to 90% because you're likely going to want to put him in slot 1, so this is crazy. This is really actually badass. I really do like how they're designing Trunks here. Also, I mean, you know, this whole kind of defense boosting with a receiving attack, it's kind of interesting. I guess it's like a fail-safe in case things don't go your way, but it's not that crazy, so it is what it is, whatever. The attack boosting, though, 140% right there, plus another 140% right there, plus another 140% down here. He can do a decent amount of damage, I would say, and obviously he's not boosting his attack with his super attack effect, but I think he can still do some really decent damage even as a free-to-play unit, so this is all really nice. I'm looking forward to seeing him come out, I guess, tomorrow, or I guess maybe like what is it, like I guess like 22 hours, I guess that's when he would come out. I'm looking forward to seeing him. So obviously we'll have to farm him up and everything, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him and seeing what he can do in action. I'm sure a lot of people are very excited. But also, let me just say this actually real quick, because now I'm just thinking about this. Why did Dokkan make a free-to-play Int Super Saiyan Kid Trunks better in terms of his design than freaking... Let me get this right. Why did they make Int Super Saiyan Kid Trunks better than than Int Broly? I'm messing things up because my brain is just all over the place. I don't understand why Dokkan decided to make Int Broly as mid as they made him. Like, they could have made him so much better. They should have made him so much better. This is a Saiyan Day Dokkan Festival T-War, and somehow it feels like they gave this free-to-play Kid Trunks more love than Broly. And by the way, the theme of the celebration again is focused on Broly. It's not focused on Trunks, it's focused on Broly. So Broly having a mediocre EZA, while Trunks looks better, I would argue maybe Videl looks better as well. This is crazy. This is really insane. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this. If I'm like a Broly fan, I'm hurt. Like, I'm really hurt, because in Broly, he should be so much better than he is, and we won't see that. I mean, hopefully part 2, who knows, maybe they'll get in Broly his Super EZA. But yeah, I mean, we're not seeing that. But okay, one last thing I want to talk about before I forget. We do have all the missions kind of pulled up here. These are the missions for Stage 2 of the whole kind of Devil's Awakening kind of fight, right? So obviously a shout out to Alpal or Alpal, I don't know how to say his name. I'm so sorry, man. But shout out to him. I'll have to learn all the other content creators' names properly very soon here. But shout out to him. He was kind of translating some of the missions here for us. But, you know, these are just the new missions we'll look forward to for when Part 2, like the new stages and stuff come out. Obviously beating the challenge event Stage 2 once, beating it with a man who followed in his father's footsteps and defeated the demon. So, I mean, this is going to be focused on Gohan right there. Also, defeating the enemies in Stage 2 with the help of a golden warrior who resembles a young Son Goku. Obviously, that refers to Goten, or Kid Goten, I should say. Defeat the enemies in Stage 2 with a young golden warrior and his proud father. This is kind of mistranslated, I guess, but or misappropriated, whatever you want to call it, because right down here it says, join forces with a young golden warrior with a proud father to defeat the enemies. So obviously this is referring to Kid Trunks, and then right here, defeat the enemies in Stage 2 with a warrior whose father is a world champion of martial arts. This is mainly focused on Videl, so we are going to have to take those 4 at some point in one stage or another against Broly to kind of beat him. Also, I mean, we do have to beat it with 6 planetary destruction units, so that will be kind of frustrating, but at the same time, it's not going to be or actually this is for Stage 1, sorry, but for Stage 2 down here is also planetary destruction as a kind of a category challenge. So it is kind of frustrating, but it's not going to be, I think, that bad, because we are getting, of course, the LR Tech Broly EZA and stuff like that. So I think, all in all, it's going to be a fun time. I think Part 2 is actually going to be, in some ways, maybe even more fun than Part 1 was. And, I mean, I hope that's the case, because a lot of people have been looking at Part 1 and saying this is kind of mid. So hopefully Part 2 kind of knocks it out of the park. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see in terms of how they're going to cook, especially with the new LRs and everything else that we have to look forward to. In any case, that's going to do it for the vid. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like down below. Also, definitely subscribe so you can support the channel and the content that I do here, and comment down below your guys' thoughts on LR Tech Broly's EZA and what they gave him. And feel free to check out some of the other vids I have on my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.